This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
And welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Talkstar Radio Network and the X-Zone Broadcast Network, and our growing family of broadcast affiliates right across Canada, the United States, Central America, the Caribbean, South America, the Pacific Rim, Australia, Asia, India, Africa, and Europe. If you'd like to give us a call worldwide, toll-free, 1-800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, you can always reach me or somebody else here at the studio by typing in the MSN address xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. My guest this hour is a good friend of the X-Zone. I've had the pleasure of knowing this gentleman ever since the X-Zone started with the X-Chronicles way back in 1992. Derrel Sims is our special guest this hour. And for more than 40 years, Derrel Sims has been investigating the alien presence phenomena after his first encounter with an alien. As he grew older, he experienced a malignant contact with these alien beings that would alter his life forever. Now, as a result, at a young age, Derrel made the decision that he would no longer willingly be victimized to their bizarre quests. Determined to change his role in life from being the hunted to the hunter, he began to prepare himself for their pursuit. Every path he took would equip him mentally, physically, and intellectually to become a warrior for his cause and to assume the role he was born to play. As a result, X-Zone Nation, Derrel has spent the past 3 decades researching the world of alien beings. His area of focus has dealt primarily with medical and scientific evidence of alien-human contact. To that end, he has spent years studying and training in a broad range of areas that would provide him with a full array of skills necessary for his search to find evidence of these creatures. From his accomplishments and certifications in hypnotherapy to his education in handwriting analysis, he has pursued extensive training to assist in his efforts to aid abductees in reclaiming memories of their experiences. Joining me now is Derrel Sims, the one and only alien hunter, and you can find out a lot more about Derrel at www.alienhunter.org. Derrel Sims, welcome back to the X-Zone. How are you, old friend?
Well, if I had a better introduction than that, I think we might as well close right now.
All right, it was nice talking to you. Take care of yourself. Hey.
I'll tell you, you're a class act, and I'll tell you, ever since you started in 1992, you have just skyrocketed to great heights in the field of as a radio and internet host. I'll tell you, people are. I don't think there's anybody out there that you haven't interviewed at least 3 or 4 times, and I mean, you've literally got your finger on the pulse of this thing.
I thank you, my good friend, Derrel. You know, I remember you when I first met you. You were working with Dr. Roger Lear. You and Dr. Lear brought out the proof of the implants. And, you know, back then, cattle mutilation was in the news, alien abductions were in the news, and it seems today that mainstream media is no longer carrying any story about alien abductions, and yet I believe they're still happening.
They're happening at a rapid rate, and in fact, just recently we had a DA and his wife follow a large triangular craft around the Burlington area in Wisconsin, and long story short is they didn't realize there are 2 other families doing the same thing, and again, the long and short of it is they woke up inside their car with it was winter, of course, and it was just this last winter, and the inside of the window was frozen with ice, and they were still warm and couldn't figure out what the problem was. They didn't realize that they'd already been taken, And the DA came back, and his watch had melted on the inside, and I have the watch currently, and I'm having it analyzed.
Derrel, stand by, buddy. You and I have to take a 2-minute commercial break.
Effect.
Derrel Sims and I will be back after this break as we continue with the one and only alien hunter himself. Derrel Sims is our very special guest this hour. www.alienhunter.com.
This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com.
Shamanism is recognized as a method to access the quantum level. Mastery of shamanic skills puts spiritual information and healing power into your hands. Path Home Shamanic Art School, a bonded Colorado certified occupational school, has met rigorous state standards, ensuring its director and instructors have the qualifications to teach the shamanic arts. Path Home offers a certification program in blocks of study. Block 1, a 5-day intensive, will be held in the beautiful mountain town of Coaldale, Colorado, October 13th through 18th. Registration deadline is September 12th. Experience journey trance, power animals, helping spirits, sacred space, and life purpose. Come discover your power. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, in the magical world of shamanism. Call 303-775-3431 or visit findyourpathhome.com.
With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources. There's a wealth of totally free information posted at whentechfails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com. Derrel Sims is my special guest this hour, www.alienhunter.org. And before we went to the break, Derrel, you and I were talking about a couple in Burlington, Virginia, or was it Wisconsin, who were following a triangular UFO. They found themselves in their car later on. They were still warm, but everything in the car had been, frosted up because it was wintertime, and the DA's watch had melted. And you're in possession of the watch right now.
That is correct. The fact the individual is a major hitter as a DA in the area, and he wrote an affidavit attesting to the entire story. So this is really, to me, this is just big news. I'm surprised that news people aren't all over this thing. I mean, who else do you need to be abducted? You got your local DA. I mean, what's next?
Exactly. Now, Derrel, cattle mutilation, are they still happening? And are you still finding people who are coming to you with these implants?
Answer to the first question, cattle mutilations, let me clear that up for your audience may not know a lot about this particular aspect. It's not cattle that get only mutilated. It's sometimes people. We've got probably half a dozen cases of that out of Brazil and other countries, and a couple of minor cases here in the U.S. But cattle get mutilated. The only reason that cattle get the news is because they cost money, and people scream when their $2,000 cow died. But the fact is, I got a case right now. I'm looking out of my computer where a mutilated deer. It was mutilated the exact same way as the cattle, and but all kinds of animals, rabbits, squirrels, other animals. But again, if people see that, they think, well, that was just some evil person cutting up on an animal or something, and they don't realize they may be looking at more evidence.
Derrel, why is it that if these animals are being mutilated for testing by an alien species, why don't they just take the whole cow and not return any part of it?
Well, you brought up a really good point, and I'm going to plug my book here to do that. My first book, Alien Hunter, that Evidence and Light, which is on our website at alienhunter.org, goes into this. And I talked to Ted Oliphant, who is a Fife, Alabama police officer, who brought up a lot about cattle mutilations. He was not exclusively, but he got a lot of the press and did a great job. And he and I are debating this issue, and he thinks it's the intelligence community or the military mutilating these cattle because they see helicopters out there around them and things like that. And then I'm telling him that there's at least 3 different groups that are doing this. I said 1 is the alien, and 2 is the intelligence people, and 3 are people who, in my opinion, are trying to establish rapport with the alien presence by doing what they do and getting them to hopefully abduct them so they can see how high intelligence and great worth they are. But each of the different kinds of mutilations, those 3 I described, those 3 different groups, have 3 different kinds. It's discernible that who did what, so to speak. There are 3 different kinds of incisions, cuts, and so on. And as far as why don't they take the animals, sometimes they do. They take the whole animal, and sometimes they return it. And that's where the intelligence community comes in my opinion. A farmer will be out, let's say, at 2 o'clock in the morning looking around, and he'll see or hear a black helicopter, or hear a helicopter, and he'll go out there and see this black helicopter dropping off this cow or picking up a cow, and he can't figure out, well, what in the world are they doing? And in my opinion, which I cover a lot in my book, the DSP, or Defense Systems Program, the DSP satellites, folks are contacted when they have infrared, ultraviolet, and UV, IR, and visible light for those 3 lenses on those particular satellites, and they can see fluorescence on these cattle. The fluorescence is on these cattle when the alien touches them, much like when the discovery I made in 1992 about when the fluorescence is on abductees. This is from the touch, and in my opinion, the intelligence community is using DSP to locate cattle that have got this particular nanometer length of fluorescence on them, and that's when they send their helicopters out to pick up the cow that the aliens already picked up. And in my opinion, in some cases, they actually inject some of these animals with human-made pharmaceuticals. The intelligence people do put the cow back just to see what the alien's going to do with it next.
So it sounds like the intelligence department is using cattle as bait to go fishing for aliens. Absolutely. Why not? I mean, if you can't catch them any other way, why not play the game with them? I mean,
we did the same thing with abductions, and it caused a mass abduction of 8 people in 2 states and several cities. And the alien responded to us. They were horrified that they got caught, basically, but it worked. I mean, they're not infallible. They're not gods. I mean, they make mistakes.
Who are they then? What do we know about the aliens who are traumatizing people, who are implanting them, who are abducting them, taking them out of their very cars, like in the case of the DA, taking them out of their beds at night? What do we know about these alien visitors?
Well, that's the 5th book in a series I'm writing. It's called Hierarchy, and it goes into the morphology, the neurology, the physiology, and the purpose of the entities and so on, which tells us enormous amounts about who they are and how they may have gotten here. And it's just my opinion, but it's an opinion based after 40 years of research, that the entities that we're looking at, the Greys, the doctor types, the mantis, and all these others, are nothing more than constructs made for a specific purpose. In other words, if evolution is the model that's true, quote unquote, which I don't particularly buy into, but even if it is, the aliens proof evolution doesn't work. Because, I mean, you don't grow up from a little gray and turn into a doctor being that looks very similar to him. They don't. They're actually, whatever you're born or made or hatched or cloned as, that's what you're going to be. And then you don't grow up from a doctor and turn into a mantis being. You don't turn into a mantis being into a humanoid and then turn into a Bigfoot after that. I mean, none of it makes sense. Whatever we're looking at here, and they're all associated. We've seen them all on the same craft at the same time in the same room. The point is that these entities, in my opinion, and that's where I think the UFO community has kind of lost their way here. The UFO community generally sees these as a lineup of entities, or that they're like who they are. They're in charge. The 7 or 8 or 9 particular entities. These are like, those are the guys that are in charge. Fact is, they're not. They're here they're nothing better than pizza delivery guys, and you happen to be the pizza, so to speak.
So what is their agenda?
Well, it's multi-purposed and multifaceted, and the big problem that I have in a lot of my presentations is trying to get across the concept to people in the UFO community and even scientists. I did a presentation at a NASA UFO group out here out Houston, and 13 scientists showed up from NASA. 12 of them bought my book. I just almost fell over. I literally almost fell over. They never said a word, shook my hand afterward, asked me to sign the book, and everyone of them bought a book and left. The point is that I was getting across to them is what we're looking at here are not quote-unquote aliens from another world. We're not looking at an invasion species. We're not looking at anything like that. Those are misnomers often given to us by them to keep us confused and to obfuscate the reality of who they are and what they're here for. In my opinion, the entities are here at the behest of someone else. In other words, mid-level management is over them, and they're the ones calling shots. So if you're trying to find out what the alien's all about by watching the alien, all you're going to see is like a worker bee or a worker for some corporation working, doing whatever his task has been assigned to him. That doesn't tell you who the corporation is, so to speak.
Is there a connection between the alien presence of today and the angelic presence that was talked about in the beginning books of the Bible?
No, sir, I don't believe there are. I think that the closest thing, and I'll give you an example to kind of tie this up a little bit. We have rare cases, and some of them one of them in my own home, incidents where abductees were confronted by an alien presence, and then somebody bigger than the alien showed up.
Wow.
When these people tried to defend themselves. And on the second night, and on the third night that this event occurred, something angelic showed up and scared off the other 2 alien presences. The point is that every time that we've had an angelic presence actually show up, a biblical angel, so to speak, the aliens are terrified of it, and and every one of them, on all levels. The alien themselves, if you want to get into the real particulars of it in a biblical sense, in the 2nd chapter of Genesis, 3rd chapter of Genesis, Eve is standing there here in front of this very amazing tree, a tree of knowledge of good and evil. And here she is standing there, and this reptile guy walks up and starts talking to her. And she's not even stunned.
Right.
I mean, of course, she probably wasn't in existence, in my opinion, probably over 24 hours, so she probably didn't know much about what all was out there. But I think Adam did. And, of course, there's the story. But there's your first illustration of a reptile, literally, right there in Scripture. But it makes a clear distinction of him being on the wrong side of the fence as opposed to the angelic or and God side, so to speak. So just to make those distinctions, if anyone has an interest.
Derrel, stand by, old friend. You and I have to take a commercial break with the news at the bottom of the hour. X-Zone Nation, my very special guest this hour on tonight's X-Zone, is Derrel Sims, the alien hunter. Now, everyone who has watched any channel, TLC, Discovery, History, whatever, whenever there's a special on alien abductions, aliens, alien implants, Derrel Sims is always part of it. He is from, if you'll excuse the expression, Derrel, the old school. And his website is www.alienhunter.org. That's www.alienhunter.org. And Derrel and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break, talking about alien abductions and much more as the X-Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
That day, we were a little behind, so we worked until it was starting to get dark.
We loaded up the equipment and hadn't driven very far when we caught glimmers of this glow coming through the trees. I urged Mike to hurry up and get up there.
Travis had the door open before we even stopped. As he got closer, I heard the sound.
One of the guys said, "You feel that?"
I really panicked then.
I told him, "Get the hell out of here."
It didn't come directly to me, it came to a deputy sheriff. Three of us volunteered right away to tell him what had happened.
Sheriff Gillespie definitely didn't believe it.
He says that we better be certain because we can get in a lot of trouble.
When we went to search the next day, they split us up, and the whole time the deputies asked me, if you just tell us where the body is, we can all go home and get this over with.
We're talking about 100 people combing through the wooded area. Nothing turns up.
All week long, I've been hearing they're going to set it up to make you guys look guilty.
We're a rough-looking bunch then. Some of us have been in trouble with the law before.
And y'all ain't never going to come out of that jailhouse.
We couldn't get out.
I tried to sneak out the back door the day of the polygraph test. I was scared to death.
On top of that, you have media.
I literally would be on two telephones at the same time.
We've even got some cooks in here now that's coming in and out to see the freak show, as they call it.
Everyone descends.
I just wasn't going to stand there and listen to it anymore.
Granny says, "This is Travis. I'm back. I need help." When I did hear that he had been returned, it was almost as unbelievable as the original thing.
I just looked at my mom and says, "I told you we didn't kill him."
Travis Walton reappeared after several days with a bizarre story about a ride in an unidentified flying object.
People were desperate to explain it away.
Why are you sticking up with Travis for all this time? You know this really didn't happen.
What happened to Travis after we took off in that truck, I can't tell you.
I hated Travis for a long time after this. My whole world just tore up.
But I believe every word Travis said about it. He's never lied to me about nothing.
It's a net negative. We lost our jobs in the immediate aftermath.
And now you're not able to talk about it with anyone because you know that they're going to laugh at you, they're going to look at you like you're crazy.
But if you don't come out and tell your story, somebody else is going to tell it for you.
There's a degree of responsibility. Certainly I have to accept the bad. If I can direct what's happened in a way that I can make something good happen in the world, I'm looking for it.
Order your copy of Travis, The True Story of Travis Walton, today at www.traviswaltonthemovie.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we'll weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic right here on the Mutual Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Derrel Sims is my special guest this hour, Exonation, www.alienhunter.org. Derrel, thanks very much for joining us. It's always great talking to you. So these aliens are here, and you believe that they're just middle management, but who is the big question? Who is senior management?
Very good. In reality, I did a presentation not long ago for the Houston UFO Network, in which I showed craft that were. One of the craft I showed was approximately 50 miles thick, 600 miles across.
Whoa, hold on here. 50 miles thick, 600 miles long.
That is correct, sir.
Wow.
Then I showed some NASA footage of some craft that were several thousand miles long. And everybody's sitting there with their tongue hanging out saying, oh my God. And I said, now I'm showing you this not because I want to try to impress you with some amazing film footage here that I and other people have been able to acquire. I said, but you're missing the whole point if you don't catch this major thing here. And the major thing is, everybody says, well, these aliens have to be coming from another planet. And I always ask, how do you know that? On a planet. I said, that doesn't mean anything. I said, the point is, what in the world would you need a craft 50 miles thick, 600 miles across for, or craft several thousand miles long, unless you're living on it? In fact, if you can think of it, my way of thinking of this UFO phenomenon is different to a lot of people. To me, that's the GM plant of the alien. That's where the manufacturing goes on. That's where the breeding and the DNA work goes on. Some of the DNA work we're looking into currently with some DNA evidence. But the bottom line is, for me, is that that's where Dr. Moreau, so to speak, hatches his horrific collection of entities that we refer to as alien because we don't know what else to call them. In ancient times, they called them the jinn. They call them the fairies, the gnomes. All these are small, many of them small people, and all kinds of names all through history. But the answer to your question is, whoever they were in the beginning, that's who they still are, not who the current common denominator, lowest common denominator of the local tribal ruling class says they are. These guys are deceptive, and they have never come clean and told anybody who they really are or who they represent or what's going on. I don't think they ever intend to.
Based on all your research and the investigations that you've conducted both inside of the UFO community and outside, Derrel, what's your best educated guess on their prime directive?
Prime directive. We worked on a project. I did a posted my suggestion on a contactee who agreed to do this. She ended up getting abducted, which was her normal process every month or two, and she blurted out this information. They were horrified because she wasn't supposed to know this, and to me, I thought it was intelligence-related information, and if they responded to it, they would tell me that they're really in it more like they function like an intelligence outfit. Mm-hmm. And it worked. And 8 of our people got abducted and taken to this 600-mile craft. And we actually have some film footage from this astronomer on probably what the craft it was filmed during the same time as the mass abduction. The point is that while there, 2 major questions, 2 guys from who are representatives of mid-level management. The alien is not any management, period. They're just worker bees doing specific jobs based on what they're created and constructed for. But the bottom line is that these 2 guys that showed up, and they're very important. People refer to them as something like an admiral on a ship. All the aliens were terrified. They said nothing can go wrong tonight. So, and the abductees heard all this, and all the entities that you normally see in the mantis and all these others. Mm-hmm. Nordic, all these others are lined up in one particular room with my senior investigator, and they got him in front and center, and they're pretty upset. And the guy sitting in the chair, who's not related to these other guys, looks at Dale, my senior investigator, and says, "Why did he do this?" And Dale's like, "Who did what?" He didn't know, because, he's an abductee. Why would I tell an abductee what I was doing? So, the 2 major questions asked of this lady and Dale were really amazing. The 2 questions, and they did not know the answer to either of these. This is amazing. In one room, the entity sitting in the big chair asked Pat, the lady who was involved in this event, he said he showed her what she referred to as she said it was kind of like a computer screen. I call it that because I don't know what else to call it. Mm-hmm. And he showed a human brain, and in the human brain, as he showed it, she said, he asked me to point to where the human spirit was. And I didn't know. I didn't want to tell him. He said he got very angry, very upset. In the other room, Dale was asked the same question. He was shown a holographic imagery of a human brain in front of him, and the big guy sitting in his chair in the other room asked Dale the question, point to where the human soul is. And Dale said, well, No one's ever been able to isolate that. No one knows. And the guy got really upset, and the tall Nordic guy he's shaky. He didn't know what to do, and he goes over. He's about 6'8", and Dale stands about 6'2", and he grabs Dale's head, puts his head forehead to forehead, looks into Dale's eyes with his big, beautiful blue eyes, and looks back at the guy sitting in the big chair and says, he doesn't know. So he was determining he was telling the truth just by doing what he was doing. But those were two questions that were of real importance to the alien, where the human soul was and the human spirit. And I think they're interested in both of those, and I think they want what you have, and they can't figure out how to separate you from it without you dying.
Oh, all right, but Derrel...
They just need whatever it is they're looking for. It's bigger than your DNA.
All right, but if they've been out there for years monitoring us, experimenting on us, why do you think that still after all this time they'd be asking the same questions? To me, it sounds like they're not that much of a superior race if they can't figure this out.
Well, I will go into that a great deal with the several possibilities of why I think they're interested in this sort of thing. The alien himself isn't interested in any of it because he honestly can't do anything about it one way or the other. He's just a slave of the system.
Right. Okay.
But the guys that showed up were pretty. The third question they asked, it was very interesting. They asked both of them, and I had questioned both of them separately without each other knowing each other. They were taken in two different states, so they did not get to be in on the conversation. And I asked, are there any other questions I asked? And they said yes, and both of them said the same thing. They said they wanted to know about Project Prometheus. And, of course, I didn't tell them, but Project Prometheus was, and in my opinion it still is, a secret government, United States government intelligence project. As you know, Prometheus in the ancient lore, in ancient legends, was the guy who stole fire from the gods. He was a titan, a half human, half god. And he stole fire from the gods and gave it to the service of man. His result was punished severely and burned for his indiscretions. Project Prometheus, in my opinion, is a project designed by the intelligence community to literally steal the fire or whatever it is we're looking for from the alien technology or whatever, and use it for our own services. And you can forget the service of man; it's for the service of the intelligence community.
Well, doesn't the intelligence community serve man?
I used to be in the Central Intelligence Agency, and I can generally tell you that's kind of true in general, but you're never going to know what that really is. For a lot of good reasons, they can't tell you and won't tell you. And for other reasons, which in my opinion don't make any sense, has nothing to do with national security, they're not going to tell you anyway, period. And that's the part I didn't like about the intelligence community.
All right, and I don't mean to sound mean when I say this, Derrel, but why would aliens abduct your lead investigator and this other lady who apparently have no significant ties to the military or the government? Why wouldn't they abduct, for example, President Obama? Why wouldn't they abduct the Secretary of Defense? Why wouldn't they abduct the head of the CIA? Why is it always menial people who get abducted?
Well, this is not always the case. To answer the first part of your question, and I asked that question, why? And I knew why they got abducted, because I'd given a post-it notice suggestion to this lady and installed it as a memory, as if, in other words, this was her own personal memory. And the information I placed inside her as her memory was intelligence information I had gathered from someone else who saw something he should not have seen on board a ship. And they apparently didn't catch this. And when I found it in this guy, being former intelligence, I thought, well, good night. This is intelligence level stuff if it's true. I don't know if it's true or not. So the only way I could test it was to install it in this lady who volunteered, and then install amnesia on both sides of her memory so she couldn't remember or recover it. Then and when she was abducted, it would go off in front of the alien whenever he was within 18 inches of her. It would set off the post-it notice suggestion, and then she blurted the information out. And she told me, she said, Derrel, I've been abducted for 30 years. I'm 33. And she said, I have never in my life seen him ever a sign of emotion on his face ever. She said, when I blurted that information out, she said he was mortified. The point is that they function like an intelligence community, and I firmly believe that. They function just like we do in the intelligence business. And their system it's much bigger and much more than we ever imagined. And the second part of the question, why don't they abduct other people? They do. Well, first of all, they're interested in the lineage. The bloodline is real important. The second thing is that when I was on a TV program one time, it was a pretty significant program, I got all kinds of calls from people who were abductees who were in the intelligence community and other places, and I begged them to get off the phone. I said, you don't realize, I said, you should know this better than I do. I said, you should not be talking to me about the things you're talking about over an open line.
No, but for example, if they want to know about if they want to know about spirituality, if they want to know about the soul, why wouldn't they just take the Pope for a wild ride and question him? I'm sure that when it comes to the alien abduction scenario, I look at it as if there's so many possibilities of it not being quite as real as people want it to be. For example, if they want the answers, why not go to the source instead of the roundabout way that they do it?
Here's an interesting sidebar. One of my when the lady was asked a question about the human spirit, mm-hmm. She said, "I don't really know." She said, perhaps, somebody like Carl Jung, she was thinking if they read his works, they would know it. And they want to know who Carl Jung was. And she said they were going to go abduct Carl Jung and see if they could find the answer to that. I told him it's dead, But the point is there is a lot that the mid-level management, the lower level, the worker bee types, mm-hmm. There's a lot they don't know. And they're not the geniuses a lot of people assume that they are. They're just missing gaps in their knowledge base and information and things that they don't have to know to perform their jobs. And they're not always they're kept in the dark about a lot of things.
All right, if they're not the geniuses, that so many people believe they are, why can't we figure out a way to defeat them?
Oh, now you're talking my shop. Now, the fact is that we've and I wrote a little article on self-defense with the alien. One of the things I told people was that if I can figure out how to fool them and get a couple of people on board their craft mm-hmm. in this experiment that we did, and it worked, and upset people that they finally took the craft out to a major craft that was 50 miles thick and 600 miles across, and we got a report on the whole story, which I'll be glad to send people if they're interested in reading the overall report, and looking at some of the photography and film clips and so on. And it's all free.
Hey, Derrel, hold on. You and I have got to take our final break for this hour. Exonation Derrel Sims is our special guest. www.alienhunter.org. That's www.alienhunter.org. Derrel and I will be back on the other side of this break.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Coming soon to the X Zone Broadcast Network is A Different Perspective with me, Kevin Randall, as your host. We'll be taking a close look at what is happening in the world of UFOs today with side trips into the paranormal. Guests will range from those who are household names to those who have a different perspective on a variety of topics. No topic will be taboo, but there will be tough questions asked as we all search for the truth about UFOs, the paranormal, and those things that excite us. Sometimes we'll agree with a guest and sometimes we won't, but we'll try to keep the program topical. For those of you who would like to read, be sure to visit www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com and remember to listen to the other fine programs on the X Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net. This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
What happened in Benghazi is revealed by Nicholas Genix, author of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. He informs the American people that President Obama deceived them by advocating a strong foreign policy prior to the 2012 presidential election, and Hillary Clinton supported this deception. As the title infers, there is a connection between Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. Ample evidence informs Americans that Obama's early indoctrination in the Quran developed an affinity for Islam, why the Quran is the source of discontent in many countries, and why the Obama foreign policy deception led to poor military action and caused the loss of American lives in Benghazi. Genix provides 36 questions for the Select Committee on Benghazi to validate if Americans are justified to mistrust President Obama and Hillary Clinton. An overview of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi is presented on the website www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold. Derrel Sims is our special guest, the one and only Alien Hunter. www.alienhunter.org. That's www.alienhunter.org. Derrel, you started to tell us a story, and I had to take my break. I apologize for that. But you were telling us a story about how to fight the aliens, and we've got about 3 minutes. I'd love to hear your plan.
Well, I wrote a little article on and how to deal with the alien, and that they basically live in a house of cards, and that if you pull some of the cards out, they'll fall apart. And that mass abduction event where I did a post-it note suggestion and got them to respond to us, and so much so that they took the people from their normal craft to this massive craft that we have apparently some film footage of. We learned a lot about the alien because our people are inside the craft. Now, what the alien doesn't understand is sometimes I'm able to pull information out of the abductees that these aliens have told them, you won't remember. And they just wipe them clean, so to speak, like a computer disk, they just clean it. And the only problem is the human brain doesn't work like that. Human soul, human spirit, different story. They don't understand us as much as you may think they do. And as a result, we've uncovered some things. One of the things that we discovered about that and unraveling more information about that event is my senior investigator was taken by this Nordic guy who's been picking him up for the longest time, and he was taken to he was shown something that looked like he said he didn't show it to me, I just saw it. It looked like a map, and he said, and it looked like a giant road, like a picture of a Indianapolis 500 roadway. And he said, and there was only one little section of it that was undone. And I said, what do you mean? He said, I asked him, what does that mean? He said, that's the last portion of what we're doing here. And he said that has to do with the human beings. And he said, what do you mean? And he said, well, that's it. And he said, being an engineer, he said, I figured that was about an inch long space, and I multiplied it, and there was about 60 of them long. And that was a 100-year span, he said, that inch deal. And all the other stuff that's missing up there, he said, I measured that mentally, and he said it was about 6,000 years period. And he said that last 100 years was the part that was not finished yet. And these beings, whatever they're doing, whatever they're going to do, whatever it is, it's going to culminate in this 100-year period, according to their map.
Derrel, as always, time goes by so fast when you're with us. We'd love to have you back on in the very near future, my friend. But until then, let our listeners know how they can find out about you and what you're up to in the next couple of weeks and months ahead.
All they got to do is go to the website and click on, or they can email me directly, and I answer my own emails. And you can go to the website, just click on Derrel Sims Alien Hunter, and it automatically pulls me up. And I answer all their questions, and the stuff I do for them over the internet and or surgeries and implants and so on, it's all free. We do this as a philanthropic work.
You're a good man, Derrel Sims. Nice talking to you again. Always a great pleasure. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to the next time you and I meet here in the X Zone. All right, X Zone Nation, Derrel Sims' website, www.alienhunter.org. That's www.alienhunter.org. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news at 6.5 minutes past as we continue here in the X Zone from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.